Hello everyone. Today I will explain how we are taking any inputs in case of the REST APIs. Suppose nowadays whenever we are going to build any kind of REST APIs in a Spring Boot, so then we are going to extract some data from the incoming HTTP request to process and response accordingly, right? The Spring framework provides actually the two main annotations for fetching data from the URLs. The annotation is like one is the path variable, another one is the request param. So I will explain this about these two annotation in more detail. The path variable annotation is basically used to retrieve the data from the URL path. Whatever the URL it is, then from the URL it will extract the from the URL path. By defining this one, we need to define one placeholder for this in a request mapping URL and bind those placeholder to method parameter annotated with the path variable. Means in a method variable, we can method whenever we are defining, then we need to annotate with the @ path variable. This is basically allow us to access the dynamic values from the URL and use them in our code. So for example, I will explain like how we are going to use this one path variable and request parameter. So now if we take one example for path variable, so the path will be like, for example, this is the path base path. So if we take this example find by id with path variable, then the path will be something like that, find by id, then slash id. Okay, so this is represent the id. So this is the kind of thing, and here basically we are going to defining this something like this, like id. So this will be defining the id, and as I was saying, like this will be the value of this path. Whenever we are going to pass from the postman, then it will be defining something like that. In the other hand, like for request param annotation is enable us to extract the data from the query parameter in the request URL. Query parameters are basically key value pair appended to the URL after the question mark. And with this request param, basically we can specify the name of the parameter to retrieve and bind it in a method parameter. This is useful when actually we need to pass the additional informations or maybe filter um, uh, filter to some data. Then it will basically use. If we take one example like any URL like this, if we take the ID, so then is equal to ID equal to 1. Instead of this, in case of the request param, it will be like then ID equals to 1, something like that. Okay, this actually both annotations like path variable and the request param annotation simplify the process of extracting data from the incoming request in Spring Boot. They provide basically clean and declarative way to access the dynamic values from URLs and the query parameter, making it easier to handle and process the request data in a REST endpoint. So this is the like overall things of these two annotations, the path variable and this one, the request param. So now the thing is that like how we are going to use this one. So if we take one example, the find by id, so over here basically we're going to defining this id over here. Okay, and instead of request param, so let me comment it out this one. Instead of that, I'm copying one another method over here. Like let me comment out. Okay, instead of request param, it will be a path. It will be a path variable. Okay, and here basically we're going to pass this id. So let me rename it find by path variable, find by id with path variable. Okay, let us create another method which will basically do the same thing but in a different way with the request param. So let me rename this one. Okay, now instead of this, it will be a, instead of path variable, it will take the parameter from the URI. So here basically I don't need to pass this one. Okay, Here only we need to pass this one. Now if we start this application, so instead of calling this method, let me just return something like static data over here, success. Okay, for like demonstrating purpose, I have already created this project, already is available. So I am like demonstrating in my existing one of my project. Here also I'm putting success. Okay, now find by ID path variable, so that we can like differentiate this one, right? Now if we start this application, let me start this one, Java application. So it will take some time. It will start easily, not take much time. Yeah, it started, and the like port is 880. Okay, now we can access this one over here. So from the postman, like we can use this one. Okay, so here localhost, then localhost API, instead of save, it will be a like, suppose if we are doing these things with the path variable, so over here we are using this one API path variable, then over here we are going to pass this one. Okay, now let me hit this one. You can see we are getting the success, and here also you're getting success, right? So this is the thing that it is working. Now if we want to achieve the same thing with path request parameter, so let me update this one. It will take some time. Now instead of this, we need to call this one with parameters. Okay, so how we are going to do this? Let me duplicate this one, and here the name would be this, and here the request param name is like ID. Okay, so we need to pass this ID over here. So now suppose if we are pass this one ID as 1, so you can see it will be appended over here, something like this. In case of the path variable, we are passing this /1, and here it will be a key value pair. Key is ID and the value is 1. Okay, now if we pass this one, it will give us the success. That means the functionality is same, but the extracting the parameter from the URL and the URI path, that is different, right? So this is the thing. In a request param, actually it's having some other options also. Over here we can put some more like uh, parameters over here. So what are those? Something like, let me write those things over here. Like in a parameter over here, it's having, you can see the name. Here we can provide the name, then like required, this is a required or not, so it false means it's optional. So and also we are providing the default value. So default value meaning, like if we are not passing these values from the over here, then it will be return something default values. Okay, okay, so if I show, so that means if I not passing this variable from over here, then we can default value, it will return the 1. So let me show you how it is working. Suppose we are not passing the IDs from the here. Okay, so default we're getting the success, right? So this is the thing. Means if we return the ID over here, then we can understand like what value it is returning actually, and it will be a return type of long. Okay, that means whatever the ID we are passing over here, that we'll get. So now suppose if we are not passing any values over here, then we should expect the default value return should be 1. You can see the 1. Now suppose if we passing the parameter as for example let's say 10, then we should expecting it should return 10. You can see the 10. Okay, so this is the thing that actually basically in this way basically it is working. So these are the things, these two parameter, two like annotation, the path variable and the request param, in this way basically it is working. So this is the like overall things how it is working. As you can see, this is the like parameters and required, in the request param actually taking this parameter default value required name values. So these are the things, basically these are the taken. And this is the thing, like if it is there is some kind of complex in, then we are going to use this one. If there's a nothing complex or it will be related to the URL, then URI, then we can append this using the path variable. So these are the things about this path variable and the request param. This is all about these two annotations for extracting data from the URL. If you guys have anything, please do let me know in comment section so that I can clear those things. I will definitely try to clear your means whatever the doubts you guys are having. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.